Are you someone who deals with lots of documents? Could be Word files, PDFs, Excel, or any other format. If yes, you might be looking for an easier and faster way of managing your documents. You might be looking for someone or something to summarize your documents, or you could be a data analyst who anyway is required to work with data in all formats. Now, chances are if you are working as a data analyst, you would anyway have access to tools like Power BI, Tableau, or something from your company. But if you do a lot of freelancing, then you would definitely need something to optimize your workflow. And if you fall under these categories, then you got lucky. And now you have access to ChatGPT's Code Interpreter. Today we will review it and we'll see whether it delivers value of $20 per month, because that's what you need to pay to access it. So first of all, let's see how you can access it, and then we will review it. So before you start with it, make sure you have removed any personal information from your documents which you might use to try it. Alright, so like I said earlier, in order to access it, you need to be the premium customer, the premium or other paying subscriber, which costs currently $20 per month. If you have that, then you will need to enable it. So usually the free customers will only have access to GPT 3.5, but the paid customers will also have GPT 4. Now, in order to enable it, click on Settings. So when you click on this will show you this pop-up where you can enable Code Interpreter. Once you have done that, you can go back to the chat window and select Code Interpreter from the drop-down. Once you click or hover over this GPT-4, you will get option to select. Remember, you first need to enable it, and then you have to go and select it every time you start a chat. It won't be selected by default. So if you look at this prompt or input text area, now if I enable or rather select Code Interpreter, after this I will get a plus icon here. So plus icon simply indicates that I can upload files. But before we jump into it, you need to understand what is Code Interpreter. So it's a newer offering from ChatGPT. To be precise, it's a kind of plugin which is available to premium subscribers only. You can upload variety of documents using this plus icon, and it uses Python code to run its operations. So essentially, it's a virtual machine, a cloud-based virtual machines. From that angle, it looks really affordable, because in $20 you are getting kind of your virtual machines, and when you upload any file, it will automatically download any required packages or libraries to analyze that file. So you don't have to worry about any setup. So from that perspective, it really looks like a good deal, because if you were to use something like AWS or GCP, set up your own virtual machines, every time you are starting on a new project, you might have to install your libraries, packages. Whereas with Code Interpreter, you don't have to do any of that. You can simply upload your file and start analyzing it. So let's start with a basic Word file and see if it is capable of handling a Word file. So as you can see, I have selected a file. Now I will just say analyze this file. Now it's a good example to begin with, because as you can see, sometime it will throw certain errors. So it has worked with some Word documents, and sometimes I have got similar errors, whether it's Word or even PDF or other formats. Now I never had any issues with CSV or Excel, but Word and PDF, you might have to be careful. It may or may not work. Now I have uploaded a case study or other collection of case study from McKinsey in a PDF file. Let's see if it can analyze it. So as you can see, and it can read this particular file. So when it comes to Word or PDF, I have seen that it may or may not work, depending upon the format or the template. Sometimes when you download any online report, chances are they might have used some kind of template while creating that PDF. So it may or may not work. And it looks like it is worth $20, because if you are a consultant, business analyst, product manager, then it's a great tool to have, because it can really enhances your productivity and efficiency. Can you find any insight from it? Because I don't even know. I haven't even gone through the document. And that's the beauty of it, because you can use it to go through the document without actually going through it. So you can see that as far as this document is concerned, it is able to read it, process it. I'll just try with one more PDF file. That's an online report I downloaded. So let's see if it works. So now this is a report from Salesforce, something on marketing trend. I just found it online. So as you can see, it is able to read this file as well. And just to highlight one point, I have seen that sometimes it works with the same file and sometimes it may throw error with the same file. So consistency is something which is not there yet. Of course, fair to assume it's a new product, so it will take a while to mature, but so far so good, I'll say. Now, if you have done any data science or data analysis training in the past, you would know Iris dataset is probably one of the first go-to dataset, simply because it's simpler and it is really good to illustrate some of the basic concepts involved in data science. Now, in this case, we are going to use that to see how well Code Interpreter does with this particular data set. So I'll just upload that file. So now in this case, I have uploaded the entire zip file instead of any specific file because it couldn't process that Word document file, though it worked well with the PDF. So let's see if it is able to process this zip file. Now, as you can see, it is able to identify the files within that zip. Now we can go ahead with the general overview of dataset. Now, if you're a data analyst, you know that you will have to write a lot of code. I mean, not a lot of code, but substantial amount of code to get this information. And this is really good because you can just upload a zip file and it will go through the file. It will identify all the different entities there and it will do everything on its own. So it's really good, I will say. If you're a data analyst or a business analyst who needs to handle a lot of documentation, I will say you're getting much better value in $20. Let's see if it does well with the visualization. I must say we are just scratching the surface because we are still operating at a higher level. Now, if you're a data analyst or a data scientist, you will have to do a lot of work, then plotting the chart or identifying these high-level details about any data set. But point is that you need something to cut down the time and effort required to produce this level of information. So let's say I want additional visualization. Because if you are someone who is just starting out with data analysis, or even if you're a seasoned one but do a lot of freelancing and have a lot of projects to handle, now instead of putting 10 hours, maybe you can get things done in 2 hours or 3 hours. Of course, you just can't copy paste everything you get here. You will have to review that. You have to be careful that you are not producing any wrong information, especially if it is going to a client. But still, I think it's fantastic because it is not just producing these charts and visualizations, but also providing you a good summary, good information, great insights about this data set. Let's try something a bit more complex. So I'll close this loop for now. I have downloaded another data set from UCI repository. I'll just upload it here. Now, if you see, I have uploaded this herd plus disease.zip. This is essentially going to help us to see if we can use Code Interpreter to run some advanced machine learning models. So we are going to see if we can run something like linear or logistical regression or random forest, some of those models. So this is going to be really interesting to see because I'm going to approach it as someone who doesn't know anything about machine learning or data science. Of course, there are biases which I can't get rid of, but point is I'm trying to be as lame as possible. And as you can see, the file format here is .data. So it's not Excel or CSV, which makes sense. So you can see it is just asking questions and I'm saying yes or no, and it is going ahead with that. Now, of course, if I wanted to use some other file, I could have specified that. But for this video, let's focus on the capability of this code interpreter. And you can verify the code as well. So if you are someone who need code also, this is going to be good. So you can see pd.read. So clearly it is using pandas. And you can see now it is struggling. And I have seen that, I have mentioned it earlier, that there are performance related issues. So sometimes when I log off or just leave it idle for some time and come back, I won't see the plots. I will see the code, but the plots will disappear, something related to session. So as you can see, it is not able to read this file and it is struggling. So I will say, let's give it something else. Maybe this processed. So I will say, use this one. Use and tell me what ML models can be used for this particular data set. And this is particularly helpful if you don't know anything about data science or you are just a beginner. So of course you will need some background, but point is, let's say you are just starting out, you don't know whether you should apply regression or classification or random forest or some other model. You can just ask it. So at least so far it looks like it is able to read it. Now it is also suggesting some suitable machine learning models, which is a good thing because now we can ask it to run some of these models and see if it is able to come up with its own recommendations or findings. Well, at this stage, I'm not interested in exploratory analysis. I will just say run. Again, I'm just randomly selecting it. And if you have a premium subscription to ChatGPT, I would say use something like this. Go to UCI, Kellogg's, or whatever you want and get some sample data, upload it here and play with it, especially if you are into data science or data analysis. Now, usually for missing fields, it might come up with its own strategy. But if when you are running it, I will say use something like KNN. That is a much better to impute any missing values. But for now, we'll just skip those parts and let it do whatever it wants. So, but the good thing is you can see that it is able to identify missing values. It is able to come up with a strategy to handle it. A lot of time, if you are a data scientist, you know you'll spend most of your time in cleaning the data. And this part is getting really easier here. And this is able to handle it quickly. Now, of course, a lot will depend upon the size of your data. So practically I haven't tried it with huge data sets, and I won't be surprised if it takes longer or struggles with huge data sets. But again, that's not the scope of ChatGPT. For that, you need to have your own setup. But if you are someone who is just dealing with a, let's say, moderate data size, maybe a few thousand, I think it should be okay. Now, of course, if you see it is missing certain steps, it is doing certain things, but point is you don't have to do anything. It will do on its own. Now, again, I don't think you need a premium subscription if you are somebody who's planning to use ChatGPT to just create content for social media like LinkedIn or Instagram. But if you are into data analysis, data science, then I think it's worth it. And you can learn a lot about data science. I think if you are someone who is like a consultant, who is probably just using these tools to get certain output or manually doing a lot of stuff, I think when you use it, it will educate you up to a certain level. So this is my feedback. What do you think about it? Do you really think it is worth $20? Please leave your comments. And if you found this video useful, please like and subscribe. Thank you.